Phantom fans, Dan Herman, publisher of Hermes Press, with the Cyberry Years of the Phantom, Volume 17. Here it is in all of its glory. This is the general circulation copy of the book. There are two different versions of this book. We'll talk about them, but this is the cover for the general circulation book, which you can buy at your comic book store. You can buy it through Amazon.com. You can buy it in any bookstore in the world. And of course, you can buy it directly through Hermes Press on our website. Now, this book, like all of the other Hermes Press books, has a dust jacket to protect the laminated cover, which is the same cover with the same back. And this book is the beginning of Cyberry's work on the Phantom, which ran until 1994. Many, many years. He was involved in the strip. He created a version and a vision of the Phantom, which many generations consider to be the definitive version of the Ghost Who Walks. Now, Wilson McCoy had been doing this strip after Raymore became partially incapacitated. He was injured in the war, and it limited his ability to do things. He had triphasia neuralgia, and it created a lot of unfortunate difficulties for him. He was involved on and off with the strip, but Wilson McCoy took the strip over and shepherded the Phantom for many, many, many years. And the last two stories that he created, the Iron Dragon and the Werewolf, are featured in this book. If you have volume 16, the essay is entitled The Wilson McCoy's Swan Song. It goes over his biography, has all of the continuities except the last two, and for reasons of we could only cram so much into one book, we ended that book and started this book on those two continuities. As many of you may be aware, Wilson McCoy passed away, and it was unexpected, so King Features had to rise to the occasion and get somebody to take over his place. He had finished the Iron Dragon and the Werewolf, but the Sunday continuities needed an artist to come in, and Bill Lignante, who had been doing comic books and had been doing and would do actually the Phantom for the Gold Key for Western Publishing, did the Phantom, did many, many issues of that, and is associated with the Phantom because of his work on the Sundays as well as the comic book version. But Cyberry, after a lot of deliberations, was picked to do the dailies and the Sundays, and gave an entirely new, modern look to the Phantom, which many fans, including myself, feel is the definitive version of the Phantom, the modern version of the Phantom. And Lee Falk responded by creating stories that were more contemporary than had been offered previously. Now, in this first Cyberry Phantom, we have a picture. This is the pencils and inks for the limited edition cover, which we'll talk about. And then we have an extended interview with Cyberry. There are 3 interviews with Cyberry. The first one starts here, and it tells the story of how he got the gig. The second interview, which is in volume 18, discusses his experiences working with Lee Falk and over the long term that he did the strip. And the last essay, which is in volume 19, discusses his background in comic books, his inking, his place in the Silver Age, along with his brother Dan Barry, who was a very important artist who did Flash Gordon and helped set the style for DC Comics along with Alex Toth. That is another story, and you'll have to read that interview. This book has, as I said, an extended essay. It's got some pretty neat original art in it. We have one of the strips from the first continuity, the Slave Market in New York. Here is an original strip done by Cyberry, and here's a picture of Cyberry in the 2000s. But the art is everything. And let's take a look at this. Let's skip to here we go. Here's Cyberry's doing the Phantom. And you can see that it is a version of the Phantom which emphasizes negative and positive space, which emphasizes strong modern inking. And look, here is the strip that we have the original art from. And you'll notice that these strips push out and forward, and when you look at them, they're very aggressive, and the figures are beautifully drawn and composed. The action is as good as and better than any comic book artist could have produced during the Silver Age for DC or Marvel or Western or Charlton or any of the comic book publishers. Western Publishing published a lot of really fantastic stuff like Magnus Robot Fighter, Russ Manning's strip, which is without any doubt one of the great comic books of the Silver Age. And I'm looking for an action page. You have a lot of development in here. Here's a nice action shot of the Phantom. Now these were taken from the press proofs from Michigan State University's archives. There are about a half a dozen to 10 of them missing. We got them from Ivan Pedersen, who's always there to help us when we're missing material. Here's the second Sideberry Continuity of the Epidemic. You can see more pages, beautifully composed. You can't see. Here's another very dramatic shot of the Phantom, and I would note that when King Features did the Phantom comic books during the mid-60s, the covers were primarily taken, they were swipes from Sideberry panels. So they didn't have to do very much because each one of these panels could be a cover. And indeed, this is a swipe from one of the panels that he did, which has been digitally colored by our managing editor, Sabrina Herman. Now, on to the best part. The book's the best part, but because I wanted to celebrate the Sideberry years, I asked Cy if he could create a special cover. Now, this book is only offered through Hermes Press. You can't buy it at a bookstore. You can't buy it at a comic book store. You can't buy it anywhere. If you want this book, you have to order it directly through the Hermes Press website, and many people have, and there are not a lot of them left. This is the dust jacket showing the digitally colored image created by Cy just for us. Now, the case itself, the printed laminated cover, is different. I wanted to do something special, so we blew up the image and laid it onto the cover without any text. And instead of having our normal black spine, we matched one of the colors in the composition itself and wrapped it around to the back, and the back is the same. Here's what makes this book special. Not only does the book have a different dust jacket and a special cover, which was created just for this book. If that wasn't enough, we created a special plate which you can frame, which is inserted in the book, which is signed and numbered by Sideberry. This is an advance. It's not numbered, but the ones that you buy will be numbered 1 through 230. So this is the plate, and there's a story behind this plate. This plate is based on an image in one of the dailies. And when we sent the proof to Sideberry for approval, he said, well, I began drawing the ring differently. And would you let me draw the ring the way I want it? And I said, well, of course, it's your book. You worked on the character for forever. You do whatever you feel is necessary. So he took the proof and he took some onion skin and redrew the ring over it and made some corrections. We then scanned it and photoshopped it together, and he approved it. And we printed it on 100-pound coated stock, matte coated stock paper, and then he signed every one of these, and then we're going to number them. So you'll get this along with the book. There are only 230 of these. You can take it and frame it. It's very neat. Sideberry spent a lot of time signing them, and thank you very much, Cy. We know that it was a big impetus. He got writer's cramp, sitting there and signing your name. And he didn't do it at one time. He did it over a period of several days. And I have nothing but appreciation. And just so everybody knows, Cy is getting 20 of these books, which he will be selling at conventions and probably doing remarks or special drawings in them. So if you're interested in a special version of this book, contact Mr. Berry, because he will be getting 20 copies of this particular book with the limited edition plate And in all likelihood, at the New York Comic Con next year, he'll be selling it. It'll be available directly through him. And he's very easy to work with. And he's a fantastic guy. He's in his 90s, and you'd never know. And one of the things that I thought was just incredible was when we were working on this cover and I got the initial rough of it, I was impressed with how beautifully he had drawn it. And when I got the final inked version, I couldn't believe it, because there are 20 and 30-year-old artists that can ink as well as Cy Berry, which says a lot for Mr. Berry and his talent. That being said, you have the general edition of Volume 17, the first volume of the Cy Berry years. You have the limited edition, only available through Hermes Press and Cy Berry. I have delivered what I consider to be a proper tribute to Cy Berry's Phantom. We're very pleased with the book. Cy Berry's very pleased with the book, and I don't think I can say more than that. Any questions? Call me at Hermes Press, email me, or email info@Hermes Press, or email our managing editor, Sabrina. That's about it for now. Bye-bye.